My name is Louise Connolly. I'm the events manager at Macmillan, and I'm delighted to welcome you all, to those of you who are joining us live in the webinar, and also to those teachers who are watching this webinar via Facebook. So thank you for joining us. I would like to introduce our first speaker, Usoa Sol. And hi, Usoa, how
Hi
are
there.
you?
Hi.
Good, great to see you again. Usoa and I have been seeing each other a lot lately
Yeah.
online because Usoa has been collaborating with us in various different online events this year and for the last, I've lost count
Me
also
too.
of the number of years we've been working together. But it's always a pleasure to welcome back Usoa. And so Usoa is going to show us how to get our students on board. So take it away,
Cool.
Usoa.
So thanks a lot for that. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Yeah. So as Louise said, my session is entitled Getting Students on Board. And this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to just introduce myself very briefly and then show you 4 activities that I've done with my students, with my ESO and Bachillerato students, that have helped to get them a bit more engaged in the English classroom and to get them more to participate in general in class. And then, as Louise mentioned earlier, we'll have a bit of a wrap up for you to ask any questions you may have at the end, or if you want, you can also write them through the chat at any point. Yep. So, hello. I'm using Bitmoji for this. I don't know if you know Bitmoji, but Bitmoji is really useful. I usually wear glasses, but this is my glass me. In any case, like we said, I'm a regular secondary English teacher. I work in Barcelona in San Gregori School. I'm also a teacher trainer and a materials writer. So I get both sides. I get the student side and the teacher side, which I really enjoy. And I'm also the vice president of APAC, which is the Catalan Association of English Teachers, apac365.org. So anyway, I like to do a bit of everything apart from teaching. And so here are my 4, let's say, main tips for you to get students on board, get students to participate. Of course, I want to insist on the fact that I'm not inventing the wheel by any means, but these are just the tips that were the most useful to me in my class. So number 1 would be get to know your students, discover what they like, discover what their interests are, what their hobbies are, what their connections are. So if they have any family members that you also know, find out about their lives in general. Tip number 2 is try to gel the group, try to bring the group together, create a sense of community so everyone feels they belong to this group. And of course, if they feel they belong, if they're part of it, or if they feel they're part of it, they're going to want to participate more. Tip number 3 is get students to create resources for class. It's usually always the teacher who's creating materials, and I think it's great. But students are also very creative, and so they can design a lot of materials. And if they're used in class, they will see the purpose of doing the activities and the task, and they will also have more fun. Fun is also obviously an element that is key. And finally, tip number 4 would be ask your students for their opinion. Teenagers often have a lot to say if we let them speak and if we listen to them. So I think this is useful feedback you can get from what you do and to see what other things you can do in the future. So these 4 tips are my key elements, let's just say, to get students on board. And now I'm going to share 4 activities with you, 1 for every tip, more or less, that hopefully you can use with your students as well. So here goes activity number 1. This is called Would You Rather. Would you rather is a very simple activity where you ask your students if they would prefer one option or the other. And I've got here an app, a website that I often use for this. It's called Psycat Games, and it has a lot of already prepared would you rather questions, and they come in categories: popular, easy, kids, crazy, hard choices, party. So I mean, you can use this, for example, or, well, I mean, in this app you will find questions like this. Would you rather live without your phone or live without your computer, iPad, and clean clothes? This would be a hard one, actually.
It's a really difficult choice.
Or would you rather have supernatural strength or have supernatural intelligence? So that's also, these are sort of dilemmas for the students to think about. And of course, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just for the students to try and think and express their opinion. Another one would be, would you rather travel 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future? That would also be very interesting. So anyway, this is what you can find in SciCat games. But if you want to do it the low-key version, so the low-key way, you can always do it with PowerPoint, for example, or Google Slides. This is what I use. And this is a real example that I use with my ESO 4 students at the beginning of the year in October. If you can see, I go, so would you rather is the title. And then here, which one do you prefer and why? And this was a bit of scaffolding for them to know what structures to use and to use them correctly. And then here were the questions. So the questions I pose, among others, what would you prefer to have as a pet? A cat or a dog? And then why? Yeah, also very important to ask them the reason why. This next one, where would you rather go on holiday in the summer? I was trying to project a sort of summer feeling. Hopefully we will be able to go somewhere in the summer, fingers crossed, we'll see. And then this one, for example, if you could only choose one, which one would you rather install on your phone and why? The way I did it in my class, I have quite a spacious class for this group, is I get students to stand up and to move to one direction or the other, depending on the choice they make. So in this case, for example, if they chose Instagram, they would move to their right, so to my left, and if they chose YouTube, they would move to their left. And so I can very visually, very clearly see what options my students are going for. If there's a majority of Instagram users, a majority of YouTube users. And then what I would do for extra speaking, I would have this follow-up questions prepared. For example, this one, do you like animals? Do you have a pet right now? Have you ever had a pet? Would you like to have a pet in the future? And I ask these follow-up questions to the students who have chosen either option. And this is actually really useful, not only for speaking practice, but it also gives me a lot of information about the students and a lot of information about the class on the whole at a glance. So I see, okay, maybe sometimes it's half and half. Sometimes it's a majority of one thing and a minority of the other thing. So this is very visual and very useful in terms of information to get to know my students. So I wanted to show you also this. The presentation I used in Google Slides with Would You Rather came from here, from Slides Mania. I don't know if you know this website, but it's a great website for presentation templates, Google Slide templates. They're free to use, and you just need to download them or like edit them, and you can use them for free. They have loads of games, for example, Trivial or Can You Guess? And then others like Blackboard, for example, background, or Corkboard in this case. So Slides Mania makes your life much, much easier because you don't need to start from scratch. And what I do with this activity, I have the Would You Rather template that I've adapted from Slides Mania, and then I just create a copy every time. So that's really practical, and it also saves you time, which I think we're mostly short of. All right, so in this case, this activity can be about any topic. If you notice, the questions from the previous activity didn't really have any specific link between them. There was no specific topic, but you could make it thematically, for example. So would you rather about traveling? Would you rather about shopping? Yeah, you can make it specialized if you want. And as I said, the students had to choose either one of the other and justify their choice. And if you like, you can have follow-up questions, like I mentioned, to get a bit more information about them. And of course, the aim is to find out more about the students, to get them to express their opinion, and also to move around a little bit. Yeah, so a bit of TPR in there too. If your classroom is not that big or not that spacious, you could also get them to do different gestures depending on their choice. So if you want to choose Instagram, touch your head. If you want to use YouTube, touch your nose. You'll see, I mean, I've tried this with 16-year-olds in ESO 4, and you wouldn't imagine how much fun they're having. At the beginning, I did a couple of times I did with this, like Simon Says sort of thing. And they looked at me like, hold on, is this for real? But once they get over that initial sort of shyness, they were so crazy about it. They were really, really into it. So this is also something that I do, and that it really engages them for a bit of fun as well. But I get a lot of information about it too, so it's very useful. For example, I had a student, when I asked this, would you rather have a dog or a cat? I had the student who stood up when I did it with them standing up around the classroom, stood up right away and went straight to the dog section, the dog side. I'm like, wow, Jordi, this was Jordi. Do you have a dog yourself? No, I don't have one. I have two. I'm like, wow, okay. He feels very strongly about his dogs. I'm in charge. He said, I walk my dogs every day. I take care of my dogs. My dogs are what I love the most. Okay, wow. So now I know, dogs are very important for Jordi. Every time I show a puppy picture, Jordi's really into it. So a lot of useful information, valuable information in there. All right, so now it's your time, your turn to speak. We're going to have a little poll. Because another way that you can do this activity, for example, if you're teaching online, is by launching a poll. So these are the 3 questions that I'm posing you, just like I pose my students, and we'll see how the class, how the teaching sort of group today answers the questions. So if we have more cat lovers or dog lovers or more beach people, mountain people.
Yes.
So I think
so we're going, now people will be able to see the
exactly.
polls on their screen. So there are 3 together. People are answering really quickly. I think these are definitely easier to answer. I found the other questions actually very interesting.
Yeah.
But it would take, but of course, the fact that they're more difficult means that you have to think more and you also have to speak more, no?
Yeah.
Whereas here, you're a cat lover. Well, I know the answer for me for it.
Right.
Definitely the first one, I'm a cat lover, but I've locked the door on my cat.
Right.
He's not allowed into the room while we're doing this webinar. Okay, so
I think it's clear here, the audience.
Yes.
Okay, I think there are more dog lovers in the audience, more beach people, more YouTube users. Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, it seems to be more YouTube, 66% more or less. Okay.
There you go.
And the beach, 75%. I must admit, I'm more of a mountain person. And what's they say? 65% dogs.
Wow.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Definitely. So this is a very practical, very easy way of getting your students to respond and getting information about your students. So very, very valuable information, just in this case, a click away. So, all right. Now, another question for you. What do you think? Could you use this activity either as a poll or as a physical TPR activity or on Google Slides or on the app? Could you use this activity with your students? Do you think it would work? Write your ideas in the chat, in the chat box below.
Yeah, people are saying absolutely, definitely, yes, definitely, indeed. Yeah, there seems to be a majority. I would just give people, because there's quite a few of us here today.
Right.
I don't know if you saw, but we've got over 200 people.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what the chat's looking like now.
Yes, it's very active.
Just running.
Yes.
Wow. And somebody says they already do Belen.
Okay, you already do. I actually use it at the end of some classes. Oh, nice. Yeah. Very good piece of advice. We need engaging questions, totally. It would be great, less crowded classes. I do it with 25 students. And, it's a little bit chaotic, I have to admit, but it works really, really well. So what app did you use for the poll? The app is the one on Zoom.
Yes, that's it. That's the one on Zoom, but there are other.
Yeah, there are other polls.
Apps. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, great idea, I think. Cool. All right, so let's move on to the second activity. Let me close this here. Second activity is using Padlet. And here, for example, we have a lesson from Great Thinkers B1 about TV programs, TV shows, and sort of TV watching habits. And what the students need to do here is choose a TV show that they watch. All my students watch TV shows, so that was very easy. And they need to write a short description about the show, about the characters in the show, about what the plot is, so what the show is about. And the only thing is they cannot, or they shouldn't, tell their classmates what show they have chosen. And then once they've written the text, they go over it, I go over it, just correct any mistakes they might have, and they type in the final version on Padlet, but without mentioning what show it is, without giving any clues about what show it is. And then their classmates, everyone, needs to go onto Padlet, read everyone's contributions, read everyone's post, and guess what the TV show mentioned is. It's true that sometimes students need a bit of help. So what I did was give them the names of the TV shows, just for a bit of scaffolding. But most of the TV shows, all of them watch, are quite similar, to be honest. So they know more or less about them.
What were the TV shows in the text in the previous slide?
Sorry?
Yeah, the TV shows and the text, the reading text in the previous slide.
Oh, wait.
No, before.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that, okay, reality. I thought,
yeah. So here you talked about reality TV shows. My students actually watch a lot of reality shows.
They're very popular at the moment. Okay.
Yeah, they are very popular. So I personally don't watch them, but I get informed through them, actually. And I think it's important to, to be in touch with their reality. So as a follow-up task, what you could do, apart from getting them to guess what TV show they're talking about, is trying to find things in common. Maybe a TV show that they also watch, or maybe a TV show that they've never watched, but they could find interesting. So this is another option that you have. And as another follow-up task, you could get students to rate their classmates' post. If you go to Padlet on the posting tab, you have many options, and one of them is to allow comments, enable comments, or enable rating. And the reactions you can get the students to express are likes, so little hearts, which they go crazy about, or votes, or I go for stars in this case. And so what the students had to do as a second follow-up task was rate their classmates' post and show which TV shows they would watch if they didn't watch them yet, or they watched if they did. Yeah, so it was very clear which TV shows were the most popular in the class. And again, this gave me a lot of information about them, and this gave them the opportunity of talking about themselves, their taste, their TV show, the TV watching habits. And so this was very interesting and very useful at the same time. So this is using Padlet. You can do a million other things on Padlet, and I've included this in the handout, because apart from getting students to find things in common or writing a short text, this was about a TV show, but you could get them to write a short text about virtually anything: their favorite holiday, their favorite country, their favorite destination, their favorite food, anything you can think of, you name it. It's great to get students to interact with their classmates' post, to get a reaction, to give them a reason for reading, which often they lack. It's also a very participative sort of activity, because you can monitor the posts, but students can express their opinions and their reactions right away too. Students could also use Padlet to do a pre-reading task. For example, right now we're reading a short book on Australia, and the first pre-reading activity we did was a Padlet, and the students wrote what questions they wanted to find out, what information they wanted to find out about Australia. So this gives them a reason to now read the little book. And now once we finish, we're going to go back to the questions to check what information we did find out and what information we still need to discover. So that's also great for a pre-reading, or also for a post-reading. So get students to summarize the lesson, get students to summarize what they learned, what they found the easiest, what they found the most difficult, if they still have any questions left, maybe as an exit ticket. So loads of possible ideas to use Padlet with. And again, like I said, it's very visual, it's very appealing. Students can add links or images, and it doesn't really feel like a writing, although it actually is. And again, there's an element of collaboration, because the whole class are participating on the same Padlet, which is like a corkboard. And so this really contributes to gelling the group, finding things in common, bringing the group together, and getting them to share their opinion. So I think Padlet is definitely a very useful collaborative tool for this. Okay, now
Usoa, there's a question in the chat from Maria Aranza, who's asking, do the students need their mobile phones in the classroom to use Padlet?
You could do it on a computer, or you could do it on their mobile phone if you wanted. But the thing about Padlet is you don't need to do it live.
Yeah.
So you could set up the Padlet, put them the link, for example, on Classroom if you're using Classroom, and then they can go home and do it home. Okay. So usually I don't use Padlet live in the class. I get them to do it at home, which is less sort of homework, because they're actually typing, they're playing with the text, with the colors. And so then when we go back to class, then I show the Padlet, the final version of the Padlet with their posts.
Yeah. And Elena, just one other question, since we're on the subject of Padlet. Elena Casas is asking, aren't you just allowed, I've got to bring it up again because there's various different comments coming up.
In the free version, you're allowed 4.
Right.
Yeah. But then what I do as a trick, I'm only going to talk about free tools or tools with a free version. So what I do is you can download the Padlet as a PDF or as an image. So I create the Padlet, we do the activity in class, I share it, I do it, then I download it as a PDF. I post the PDF on Classroom for them to see the final result, and then I delete the Padlet so I can create another one.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Good idea. That's the clever,
Because I mean,
thing
four,
to do.
four is okay.
Yes.
It's not like one. So I mean, you
Yes.
still have a bit of leeway to play.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, I mean, you don't need to keep your Padlets forever and ever, especially if you have
Exactly.
them on PDF.
Exactly. What's the point? People are chatting about their ideas.
Sure. So for a film review after watching a film, oh, that's great. For St. Valentine's, they wrote beautiful message. Oh, that's really good. Because it is a bit like a chord board. So like a notice board. You use a portfolio to reflect on the learning process. Oh, wow. That's really useful. Where am I? Where do I want to get to? How can I get there? Nice. Use it as a piece of news about natural disasters.
And somebody said, I just asked my ESO4 students to write a review of their favorite app website on a Padlet.
That's great.
It is.
And what I really like about Padlet is you have all the information together in one place.
Yeah.
So then if you download it, you can read everybody's comments and find out about what they like, what apps they use. So there's a lot of information in there too. I feel a bit like a spy.
Yes.
But I think it's really useful.
I've got to mention this one. Gloria Barbal says, I used Padlet for Women's Day activities. Was great. Everybody uploading their favorite women.
So that's great, because what you could do, once they're done, you could download the Padlet and maybe post it as a poster.
Yes.
So there's a final product to it as well. And everybody sees, oh, look, everybody's contributed. Everybody has Post-it notes in there. I think it's really, really powerful. Eva's saying they can share their favorite places for Saturday evening, holidays with friends, exchange recipes, totally. Or like share some Instagram like messages in which students describe their favorite photo, totally. It's also really useful for guessing games or like matching games. Yes. That's also really cool. So, well, thanks a lot for your ideas. You're definitely Padlet experts. So now this question, poll time. Do you think you could use this activity or Padlet in general with your students? I think that the poll is going to be launched.
Yeah, the poll will be launched
exactly.
now.
In this case, you need to choose the option that applies to you. Definitely, probably. It looks a bit difficult, but I'll try. Okay,
most people are saying yes.
Yeah, definitely. Some people already use it.
It's like any tool. The first time you use it, you kind of think, oh, I'm not sure. Yeah. But then when you start to work with it, and yeah, it's not perfect the first time you use it in class, but the more you use
the more practice you get.
The more practice you get, the better. And also perhaps talking to colleagues who have used it, like we're doing now. Totally. I think this is a wonderful opportunity to share ideas about how people use it. Great. Thank you very much. So a thumbs up for Padlet.
All right. So next one up is Bamboozle. We're gonna have a geography quiz with Bamboozle, but first, let me ask you through the chat, how familiar are you with Bamboozle? Have you used it before? If so, how? Write your ideas in the chat again. Okay, so some people are saying Linoid. Okay.
Yes.
Never, never. Okay.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Never. Okay, great. So, some people are saying yes. Never. The chat is going crazy. Woo.
Yeah. A lot of people, most people seem to be saying never or no. A couple of people, yes. Okay.
Great. So let's go on with this. Like I said, we're going to have a geography quiz because this particular coursebook unit was on countries and nationalities and places in the world. So what I did was ask students, after we worked on this, to ask their own questions, write their own questions, to challenge their classmates. And this, I was saying that it's great to get students to create their own materials for everyone to use in class. And this was an example of this. So the aim was obviously to get them to consolidate the vocabulary they learned and all the expressions, but in a fun way and in a collaborative way. So to add an element of competition to the revision, we're basically playing a game to revise. And this way of doing this, getting students to actually come up with the questions, and then I type them up in the Bamboozle app, gave them a sense of belonging. Oh, we've created this as a class, and it was really, really cute actually to see students going, this is my question, I wrote this. Like, yeah, okay. So everybody had their own questions, and it was actually really sweet to see them being so engaged. So
just one thing, Usoa, we've got 5 minutes. If we go over a little bit, it's okay. Yeah, but not too much.
We'll go a bit quick.
Yeah.
So usually what I do with Bamboozle, I divide the students in teams, but this time it's a little difficult to divide you in teams. So I'll just play with Louise.
Okay.
This is what Bamboozle looks like. And
what
this
do I
is,
have to do?
yeah, these are the questions. I just save some of the questions because I mean, the Bamboozle was much, much longer, but we're just going to play. We're going to play in two teams. You have a lot of options that you can choose, but we're just going to go for classic with questions and power-ups. And you'll see that in a minute. So
I
just
choose
choose a number, Louise. Yeah.
Okay, 10.
Okay, 10. There you go. This is a power-up. Give 25 points. So
No.
the other team gets 25 points
I can't
extra.
say no.
Right, no. Usually, if there's more than one team, you can choose what team you're going to give it to. But
Okay.
students, I mean, you should see students get so carried away. It's amazing. Yeah. So, any case.
It's your turn now, no?
Hold on, I clicked on, I need to go. Oh. Oops, there you go.
Oops.
So it's my turn. Now I choose, I don't know, 3. So what do you call someone from Poland? Their nationality? Polish. The cool thing here is you don't have to type anything. Students just give the answer, and then you just go check. If the answer is incorrect, you click on oops, so they don't get the points. If it's correct, you click on okay, and they get the points. So let's do one more.
Okay, 14.
14. How do you say Suiza in English?
Switzerland, I think.
Students often get this confused. Switzerland and Sweden, right? So this would be correct. One more for me. I'll choose number 1. Let's say, what is the National Day of Wales? When is it? It's St. David's Day. It's St. Dewey's Day. But when is it? It's the 1st of March, I think. Hold on. Okay, there you go.
Excuse me.
St. David Day. Okay, it's on March 1st. I mean, I should know of all people because we've been working on, English.
And you wrote the questions.
Yeah. So in any case, we'll leave it here because we're running out of time, but I think you get the idea. There are many cards that you can play with, and it's basically a lot of fun. So, all right, so now, again, your turn to participate. Do you think you could use this with your students? Okay, so this will be a poll. Launched?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
80% are saying definitely, and others 20% more or less. Well, there's a couple of people are saying it looks difficult. But yes, very much, I think people agree it's doable.
Faith is saying here, Cecilia is saying, do you ask students to write down the questions on Padlet and then you copy them on Bamboozle? No, I usually get them to write them on a Google Drive, a shared document, and then I copy and paste the answers on Bamboozle. I think it's easier. Cool. Some people are saying, great, thank you. I think it's a really cool game. Yeah. Very, very addictive game. Okay, last but not least, Mentimeter. Here again is a coursebook lesson on art. Hold on, let me close this. And so I'm gonna show you an activity that I did. This was again my ESO 4s. The aim was to get students interested in the topic, to get them to reflect on the concept of art, what they thought was art, the meaning of art, and also to express their opinion. So what students had to do was think of ideas they associate with art and then give their opinion on Mentimeter, and then also say whether they thought some works of art were art really or not. So this is the students, the result after the students participated in Mentimeter. You can see it looks like a word cloud. So this is what they wrote: creative, powerful, subjective. I mean, there are some spelling mistakes here, but this was not the point. So, and then the second activity was this. I showed them some pictures and they had to decide whether this was art or not. These were the pictures that I showed them. Some works of art that I personally like, but then also, for example, graffiti from a train. This was Banksy, and this was making fun of. So this is the thinker, and this one is actually called the drinker. So it's Banksy making fun of Rodin. And this is a village in Catalonia where they have a graffiti festival. The whole village is covered in graffiti. And this is Mark Rothko. Yeah, so it was different things, not just the typical works of art. And they gave their opinion, which is actually very valuable to see what they thought. So again, your turn once more. Do you think you could use Mentimeter with your students to ask them for their opinion, to ask them about what they think? Some people are saying they use Mentimeter already. Hold on.
Yes, and some people in the chat are saying yes, and also in the poll, yeah. Okay, I mean, I think people are seeing that these tools are very, very adaptable. No, to the
some people are saying, do they say already use it, useful? Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's great. I think Mentimeter is definitely really, really versatile. Great for surveys, great for getting students to give their opinion, great for students to get them more engaged, and you can use it offline, online, hybrid, so anything. There are different types of questions, like I showed you. There's the word cloud, there's the ranking, so a lot of options to get students involved. And just like with Padlet, you can download the students' answers on a PDF to maybe take a look later, or maybe just show them the results. So this is definitely very, very useful. And just to pray what I teach, or teach what I pray. What's it saying?
To practice what I preach.
Practice what I preach. Sorry, I was thinking about teaching and praying.
Well, I was thinking as well, because I was trying to work it out in my head. But so practice what you preach.
In any case, we'd like to know your opinion about the webinar. And that's why we're going to use Menti for this. You need to go to menti.com. You can either use your computer or your mobile phone, and you don't need to download anything. Just go to menti.com and type in this code, 5969, no spaces, 5949. Okay, so go to menti.com and write the code, type in the code. And the question is, write at least one word to describe how you found the session. So we're basically asking you for your opinion of the session. This is what you should be seeing first. Hold on, this is, I can't, here. This is what you, exactly. So people are saying motivating, interesting. Let me close this. What I like about Menti is that you can do it in real time, if you like, just like we're doing, or asynchronously. So you could set this Menti for homework, maybe for students to do it in class, and then go back in a couple of days and look at the results. So that's actually really useful as well. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Mariangela typed in the code here. Do they do it at home? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do it in class. Okay, useful, interesting. Can't wait to try. Oh, thanks so much. Entertaining, engaging, enjoyable, awesome. Guys, I'm starting to blush. Practical, motivated. That was totally the idea. Mercedes is saying this is very helpful. Thanks so much. That was the whole idea.
Mercedes.
So amazing, enjoyable, refreshing. Oh, guys, seriously, wow. Thank you. Very visual. Totally. The word cloud looks amazing. It actually looks very beautiful. So I think it's great. And if you see words that are bigger, it's because more people have typed them in. Yeah. So the more people type, the more, the bigger it comes up. Wow. Well, this is getting crazy. Yeah. Thanks a lot. I mean, I'm glad that you enjoyed the activity. I think we'll have to leave it here. Okay. Let's just move on. If you have any questions, we have a couple of minutes.
Yes, we have a couple of minutes.
Thank you so much for making things so simple. Oh, thank you. Wow.
Yes, do ask any questions that you may have, specific questions about particular tools, or you may like to share a different tool that you use with the rest of us. As I said before, this is a forum. This is a space, I think, for us to share ideas, and Usoa has given us lots of ideas, and maybe it's kind of sparked some memories of tools that we've used in our classes. I do have a question for you, Usoa.
Sure.
These tools, are they all compatible? Because, you know, where a lot of us are in online situations or hybrid situations, and are they compatible with Google Classroom?
Totally. You can insert a link to Menti, Padlet, Bamboozle, you name it. They're all compatible with Google Classroom. So that's great. Somebody was asking here on the chat, how do you organize all these tools? I have a Google, I mean, it's not very professional, I have to admit, but I have a Google Drive document with like categories, and I include all the links to the tools. So I can find the best tool for each activity, because otherwise there's a lot of information at the same time. Yeah, so that was Maria Angela.
It is a question, isn't it, of organization. I mean, I think we all find that online, don't we?
Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming sometimes.
It can be overwhelming. You're right.
Patricia's saying Genially, Quizzes, Kahoot, Wakelet. That there are a lot more. And Teresa's saying, what app did you use for your avatar? It's called Bitmoji.
Yes. You can put it in the chat. Bitmoji, exactly.
Hi, Pilar. Thank you.
Yeah. Usoa, there was also a question about, do these apps have resources that you can download? I think it was. Is there a bank of resources on each?
In Bamboozle, for example, there are already made Bamboozles that you can browse before actually creating yours. In Padlet, not so much so. And in Mentimeter, there's Question Bank, but I think you need to create your Mentimeter. Alfonso saying, I have used Padlet since I knew about it, watching one of your previous videos during lockdown. Oh, thank you. Padlet is extremely useful, extremely useful.
Yes.
Quizzes is great too, totally.
Yes, and Wakelet?
Yeah, Wakelet I've actually never used, but I hear everybody's using it. So this is like my new to-do on the to-do list.
Okay, make a note of that one. I'm going to have a look at it as well, because I haven't come across it.
And Ramon is saying I also use Kahoot. Kahoot I think is a classic, right?
Yeah, of course, yes. And Genially is more and more. For example, we at Macmillan, we put together for ESO actually, the escape room, which was actually written by Usoa, the very same person. Yes, Usoa is a very versatile person. And I don't know if you answered this, Usoa, but Pilar Garcia is asking, is Slide Mania similar to Prezi?
Slide Mania is for templates.
Okay.
That's where you can get the templates to create your own Google Slides documents.
Yes. Okay.
And then Eva is saying EducaPlay has a lot of game-like resources. Idoia is saying Wakelet was one of my favorite tools. WooClap, I don't know WooClap. Who mentioned WooClap? Estelle is saying WooClap. We'll definitely have to look into it. Oh, to record short videos, I also use Flipgrid. Yeah. I would recommend taking it step by step. I mean, there are a million tools that you could use.
Yeah.
But it might be better to try a couple of things out, make it work, and then consolidate what you've done.
Exactly.
Because if it works, you'll feel a lot more confident, so you want to try it out more. And once you see your students' reactions,
And also bearing in mind what you want to do, no?
Exactly.
What's the purpose of the activity? What are your goals and objectives? Exactly. Somebody mentioned Miro. Miro is a collaborative board using Post-its.
It's similar to Jamboard, but it's not Google related.
Okay.
The Miro board. Well, in any case, I think our time's up.
Yes, our time is up. Thank you so much, Usoa. It's been a real pleasure, eh?
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I'm sure we'll have you back again soon.